Lesson 48 is all about fractional part of a number and fractional equations. And our problems are going to look something like this. We're going to get short questions that say like, what fraction of 75 is 25? And we can see 25 is much smaller than 75, which is going to help us make sure that our answer is correct in the end. What we want to do is we want to set up an equation. We're going to start by saying WF, and WF means what fraction. What fraction? It makes perfect sense to use this as our variable. What fraction of, and whenever we see the word of, it means multiply. So we're going to multiply what fraction of 75 is. Well, is tells us what our answer is, so is always going to mean equal to. So what fraction of 75 is 25? Now in this problem, what we want to do is we want to know WF. We want to know what fraction. So we're going to put that down below. Now to get what fraction by itself on the left-hand side of the equation, we need to get rid of the 75. The way we get rid of the 75 is to undo the multiplication. What's the inverse or the opposite of multiplication? Hopefully you said division, because division will undo multiplication. So what we're going to do is we're going to undo the multiplication by dividing by 75. Because 75 divided by 75 is just 1. So that leaves us with WF, what fraction, on the left-hand side. Now what we do on the left-hand side of the equation, we're going to have to do on the right-hand side of the equation to balance it out. So we get 25 over 75. Now 25 over 75, that's like 1/4 and 3/4. So WF, what fraction, is going to be equal to 1/3. And we're all done with our first question. Let's move on to the next slide. Now we have 5/7 of what number is 5/2. So 5/7. We're going to set up an equation. We've got 5/7 of means multiply. What number, Wn, is equal to 5/2. Now what we want to do, we want to know what Wn is. So we want to set this problem up as Wn, what number, is equal to something. That means we're going to have to move the 5/7. We're going to have to undo it. We're going to have to undo the multiplication. How do we undo multiplication? We use division. So we're going to divide by 5/7, which is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal, right? Copy dot flip. So we're multiplying by 7/5. Our numerators cancel. Our numerator 5 cancels with our denominator 5. Same thing with the 7s. What we do on one side of the equation, we have to do on the other side of the equation. So we're now going to multiply by 7/5. Oh, we can go ahead and find out what our answer is, because the 5's will become 1's. 5 over 5 is 1 over 1. And we get 1 times 7, that's going to be 7. And 2 times 1, that's going to be 2. So we get an answer of 7/2. You could put 3 and 1/2 if you like, or 3.5, but you might as well just leave it as an improper fraction. That's the way the back of the textbook will report all those odd answers, and this will get you full credit on every problem that ends up like this. Let's go on to our next one. Now we have 5/7 of 5/2 is what number? This is the easiest type of all the problems, even though it's our last slide, because we have 5/7 of 5/2 is what number? It's the easiest one of all of our types of problems because we can just do the multiplication and then we'll be done. We can't simplify here before we multiply. 5 times 5 is 25. This is going to be equal to 25. 7 times 2 is 14. So we get 25 over 14. We know that we can't reduce that because we couldn't reduce anything before we multiplied. So we've got our final answer, 25/14. Alright, we're going to practice this some more on page 159 during our next class. Make sure you've got your notes completed and have a nice afternoon.